Today we're going to learn how to draw jeans, a romper, some slacks and trousers. You're also going to want your mirrored croquis with the 3/4 leg view, a blank piece of paper, your 2H pencil, 2B pencil, a detail eraser, regular eraser, pencil sharpener, and a clear ruler. In the video where we were starting to develop our own 3/4 leg standing pose, we had analyzed the first girl here in the video. What I want to do is I just want to quickly go over what we had already reviewed just as a refresher. So on this pose, her shoulders were popping to the right, and then we have her hips and knees all popping here to the left. For doing this view, we recognized how the calf for her support leg is acting like normal. It's popping out here to her left side. But then when we came over for the 3/4 leg, we were to do the opposite. So this is to keep the calf muscle and foot also here is popping towards her left side. And that's what made this a 3/4 view leg. And then we also drew the 3/4 view shoe. Now with this pose, we could see that she had the inseam right here that we could see, as well as you could see the outside of her leg. And then we could see here that the button is on center front, and then the extension for her zipper and pants and the overlap right here was going to her right side, which is the same as menswear for jeans. The waistband curves down, and whatever the width was of the waistband is the same on both sides, and it's traveling in the same direction, popping to her left side. And then of course we notice down here in the crotch area there's some wrinkles from her pants where her legs are bending. And then we'll also try this where down here at the knee the pants were split open, so it's a little bit distressed looking. And then we'll do it where it's tight on her ankles, and we'll do some wrinkles down here as well. So make sure you've traced all of this off and you have all of these markings on your handout. And let's go ahead and draw this right now. Now the pose that she's doing, she has her weight on her left leg. So we'll use this pose here from our mirrored pose where her weight is on her left leg. And we'll start to draw these pair of pants. And then using an 18 by 14 piece of paper, we can come in here and we can get all the way from the waist all the way down to her ankles. And let's get this set up now to start drawing one pair of pants on this paper. So the same thing we've done in the other videos. You want to bring your piece of paper over so you have enough room to draw one pair of pants. We want to make sure we have enough room here from the waist all the way down to her ankles. And once you've located that area, come into the plumb line from your croquis. Put a mark here on your blank piece of paper. So we'll square up a plumb line here using our 2H pencil and make sure it is going square with your piece of paper. Once you have this line back up with your croquis, let's go ahead and tape this down. And we're ready to draw. Now if we take a look here at the handout, if you notice where the crotch depth is, and you come all the way up here to the top of her jeans, and you can start to see where they're also starting to curve inwards a little bit, that this is definitely up above her hip bones. So when we come into here, this was the high hip level, so the top of her underwear. This is her hip bones. So I think this waistband is right around in this area right here. So let's go ahead and let's get a dot just below her hip bone right here. And whatever you do on one side, make sure it's exactly the same on the other side. And then we'll lightly connect that with a line following the same direction that her hips are traveling in. And this will be what will be her for her waistband. Now, as you know, the waistband sticks out further than her body. So wherever the second part of the waistband, so however wide the waistband is, we want to determine that now. So let's come down to just above the top of her underwear, so just above the high hip. Let's get another band And this is going to be the second part of what the width of her waistband is going to be. So now we can see how wide we want her waistband to be in total. For the second bottom one down here, we want to go straight up and make this square here for her waistband. So wherever you're going to be just right off of her skin, square up that waistband. And then we want to make this a curve. So let's come in here and we'll get our center front. So trace off your center front. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start high, curve down towards center front, and back out to that waistband, to both edges. And whatever we do for the top one, let's do for the bottom one. And now we can get a sense of what her waistband is doing. Now if we look back on the model, the waistband fits into her waist pretty good. So personally, I don't think that this is just a regular old straight waistband like they would do in just a quick production run. So probably this waistband is cut into pieces, so there might be like some side seams on here, or it might even be cut on the bias. So normally the waistband would have to be right angles right here and here. But in this instance, since these pants are a little more expensive, what we can do is we can start to shape them towards her waist skin a little more, but always making sure that the waistband itself is slightly wider than her skin. Now also, to save any confusion, let's start to erase this plumb line here. So then we know when we're always talking about center front, we won't confuse it with that plumb line. On the plumb line, right in the middle of this waistband is going to be her button. Now, in order for something to button, you need fabric that goes over beyond the button. So this is the center front, yes, but there's going to be an extension. So come over to this side here, and you're going to want to take this and start to aim it down between her legs like a curve. I made my button too big. So for me, to do this extension over here like this, the button I drew is it's going to be too big. Let's make that button just a little smaller so I can get this extension a little closer, coming back down between her legs. So we're getting this part here where you have, there's the button, there's the extension, and it's all coming down here between her legs. And be sure to draw everything really lightly right now. Now on the opposite side of this extension, you're going to have this top stitch that's going to come down, and it'll come down to the full hip area. So come in here, find your full hip guideline, and that top stitch there, it will have to come down to just below that full hip guideline. And this is how she gets into her pants. She'll unbutton this, unzip it. This will open up at least to her fullest hip level so she can slide these pants on over her fullest hip. So taking a closer look, let's just review this one more time. So here was center front. The button is on center front, but her jeans will extend to this side of center front, and the top stitch will extend to this side of center front. The top stitch has to come down below the hip level, and this extension will eventually turn into the same location as center front here at the crotch level. The waistband, we're starting at the same locations here and here, as well as here and here, and then we're curving down towards center front and back up. So it's the same width the whole way. Now let's come down and start to establish what the legs are doing. So on her jeans, they're pretty skinny, and tight to her. So basically we're going to just be drawing just a few widths of a pencil tip outside of her skin for these. But as we travel, we also want to show a little bit of some wrinkles in certain areas. Let's start here with the support leg. So this outside hip of the support leg, at first it's just going to travel like what the hip's doing. And again, you're outside of her skin. Once you come down into this, right into her knee joint, you can come down and show just a little bit of a buckle to signify that there's something going on there. And then continue on with her calf and then down into the bottom of her ankles. Let's draw what would be the inside of this leg here. And what we'll do is, if you recall, on this girl, there's some wrinkles here right at crotch level. So for now, what we can do is we can just draw a wrinkle in here at the beginning and start to draw down. So here at her crotch level, where the extension seam is coming down, there's going to be like a wrinkle coming up into here, similar to drawing like cat whiskers. And then come over here, so don't follow really tight on her inner thigh. Come over here somewhere where the center front is and start drawing your pants heading downwards. And as you travel down, you might draw like even one more little wrinkle here at her upper thigh area. And then once we get down into the knees, this is going to follow along. Let's go ahead and erase this plumb line, since it's going to get close to what we're drawing. So again, I had like a little wrinkle right here at her upper thigh. And then as I come down to her knee area, maybe there's a few more wrinkles right there. And then we'll continue this all the way down to her ankles. And in a minute, we'll talk about what we're going to do here at the ankle. For the second leg here, we're going to do the same thing. So there's a few little wrinkles here at the crotch level, and that'll be the starting point for starting to draw your pants. And again, here's the skin for her leg. I need to be out here somewhere. So I'm going to just start right here. So this pant leg and this pant leg are touching like a V. So you don't want to have a little space here like you do for swimsuit or the bottom, like the bottom of a swimsuit or her underwear. We want to have where the pants come right into a V area. So this leg will be coming down into the knee. And something that you can do is show that it's a little bit baggy and bumpy behind the knee here. So now we know what we're aiming for with this inside leg. And then again, we'll come down just above her skin all the way down to what later on we're going to do something with the ankle. Now out here on her knee, if you remember, it's split open. So this is like a distressed jean. And how it peeled open is like a cat's eye. So there's this lower part scooping down, this upper part scooping up, and it looks like this slit for a cat's eye. So out here we know that her skin would be really tight right here against her skin, but the pants themselves would stick out a little bit beyond that. At the top of the kneecap here, I would do a few little buckles. So some kind of a ripple. And then continue drawing this up into her thigh area. All along this curve right here, it would be tight against her skin. And once you got to this high hip, if you remember that her hip bone travels up, her high hip comes in, and there's kind of a corner right here. At that corner area, you get a lot of these kind of sideways wrinkles from her flat hip bones and these curve wrinkles from the roundness of her leg. So come up in here where her underwear is and just get like a couple wrinkles that are basically straight across. And then right here at the juncture of her leg at the full hip, we might do kind of a curving buckle right there as well. And then as you draw these pants, when you hit that, do a couple little wiggles to signify these are bumps from those wrinkles. And then again, this part right here was really tight on her upper leg, so I have it super close to her skin. To finish this one, again, we want the pants to stick out further than her kneecap. So make sure you're sticking out a little bit here, and then just bring this down for what we'll do at the ankles next. Alright, so here I turned on all the lights so you can see a little bit better what's going on with her pants. We got some wrinkles at the knee, behind the knee, a little wrinkle here in the middle. We've got this distressed area. You can see her skin right inside of there. And then down at the ankles here, we haven't done anything yet. So let's go ahead and start on that now. Now when you take a look at the photo here, this one, the ankle, it's tight on the ankle, and the hem of the pants is curving downwards. And you can see some wrinkles here, and one wrinkle's even going kind of at an angle like this. And this is all just below her ankle bones. So it's just above her shoe, just below her ankle bones. So let's do that one first. So we'll come down here to 9 1/4 heads, and we'll curve downwards. This is going to connect back up with her pant leg. And then the pant leg, like we were saying, it's coming down into here, and there's some major wrinkles. Even one was coming across this fold right here. Because it's not only tight on her leg, but the pants are actually a little bit longer than normal, so they're scrunching up her leg a little bit. And what we could do is we could even have just a few kind of longer wrinkles here to show that these pants are slightly too long for her foot, which is what they intended. And then you can finish by getting her foot skin down here. Ideally, you'd be drawing the rest of the shoe. Now for the second foot here, since we're seeing kind of this 3/4 view, not only is the hem curving down, but it's following this angle. So the same angle as her calf, the same angle as her shoe and her heel, this hem is following that angle as well. And you want it to feel like that the pants are kind of stacking down on her leg, and it's sloping downwards here. So if we get that same angle from her shoe, the same angle for her hem, and then we could really show, like in the back here, there might be 2 or 3 major wrinkles where it's piling up on her heel. And then down in this area, it's spreading out just a little bit. So it's kind of like relaxing, moving down her foot. And then here you can see they even have, there's a wrinkle going all the way across. So somewhere up here you might have a secondary wrinkle coming from this side. So we want a sense of the pants are piling up, and then this one a sense of it's slouching down her foot here and getting pushed up by her heel there. Now the last major detail on this is we need this inseam right here. For her inseam on these pants, you can see that there's the inseam itself, and then there's some kind of top stitching and a little bit of some wrinkles coming off of that. So at first, just come in here and draw what would be the inseam, stopping when you get to this knee area, and then let's start again after the knee. And as you get to these wrinkles, what we'll do is we'll use that to our advantage to drawing this inseam, changing directions and stair stepping to show that it's moving around. Before we take this paper off the croquis, I want to make sure I come in here and I'm going to get my natural waist. So here's her hip bone, waist, and we can see her belly button. And then even though the model is not putting her hand into a pocket and these pants don't have a pocket, I want you to learn how to use this pocket motif from your croquis. So come in here to the bottom part of your waistband, and this is where the top edge of the pocket will start, and it'll come around, and the pants themselves will need to meet out to here. So adjust the side seam of your pant to come out a little bit further. Now we can come in here and we have the flat part of her hand coming into the pocket. Out here is where there would be like a little wrist bone. You wouldn't really see it, but that's where her wrist bone would be. And then this will turn into the forearm traveling outwards. And the last thing you're going to want to know is later on we're going to draw a little bit of some shadows where her hand is inside this pocket. So everything that you see here is like a see-through view. We can see the liner, we can see the silhouette from her hand. But all we want to know for right now is just a little bit where does this hand come down to, and we'll shade that later. So it should look something like that. Now that I've taken these off of the light table, I'm able to come back and just look at the pants as a whole. I'm noticing that this leg here looks and feels larger than this leg, and I think it's because I got this one so tight on her leg and this one a little bit looser. Something that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this right on top of her skin even more to trim away a little bit of the top edge of this. And then where her calf is going back into space, I'm going to make the pants right here really tight up against her calf as well. So then I can trim away a little bit of these pants here. And I think that's good, so I'll do that adjustment for now. Now let's go back through here in sections, and we'll start with her left side here, and we're going to darken it in, and we're going to start doing some tweaks and fixes on these wrinkles and get everything nice and clean. What I want to do is I like the waistband and the extension, the size of the button, everything is good to go. And I want to darken this in, and I want this to all feel like it's one piece. So I'll take my pencil and go from the center, come out for the extension, and turn this corner with a very light rounded corner. So again, this should all feel like this is one piece. The next thing I want to do is I want to get this button, and I want it to look like it's floating up into the air a little bit. So come off to the side of your paper here. If you were to just draw a perfect circle with the weight of your line is perfect all the way around, it actually looks flat. But if you were to keep in mind that the light is coming down and then this is casting a shadow, that starts to look a little more 3D. And even adding to that more, if you knew where your circle was, so if you started with a very light pencil, and then we were only drawing the cast shadow from the button, then it has more appeal to it and it looks a little more 3D. So I'm going to come over here and do that with this button. So I'm actually leaving the little top bit there with just a very light line. The next thing on here is going to be her waistband. Now I'm noticing it's a little bit wider here and narrow there, so my curve is too much. Whatever distance that I'm doing right here should be the same all the way. Now for her jean pocket, we have where it's coming all the way back here to the princess panel. But realistically, it wouldn't come that far back cut into the front of her jeans. It would be backed off somewhere over here. So let's back that off a little bit. Another thing that it would do is it would follow the hips for a little bit before it would curve out this way. So I would want to come down following the hip direction, and then I will start to curve to the outside of her jeans. And again, this pocket here becomes the side of her pants. So just like we had the extension become the top of the waistband, we want this to just turn the corner, become the side of the pants, and head downwards. So this should all feel like it's one piece. Now the next layer is going to be her hand. So we would come in and get her hand nice and dark. Go ahead and erase the side seam behind her, and then finish getting her side seam going into the waistband. So the waistband itself should slightly stick out further than the side seam of the pant right here, because the side seam is literally thicker and it's also sewn on top of this. And since this is just the facing going back into her pants, what we can do is we can just throw a little cast shadow in there. Now for this top stitching, I want to come in and get a real definite even space top stitch. And again, it's going to turn the corner once I go below this full hip level. Now for these wrinkles down here, if you notice there's kind of some rows, so there's this one, it's higher than that one, which is higher than this one. And what I've done here is they're all just doing like a sun where they're all just coming out of one point, but I need to fix that. Also, now that we know where her hand is hitting, we know that these wrinkles would stop before they get to the hand. So let's start with the bottom one here, which would follow the roundness of her leg, and it's traveling towards her hand and stopping before it gets there. Then we move up to the next one. Again, we want to move up the ladder a little bit, but we want to sunburst out a little bit too. So they're closer together here, further apart out there. And then if I did one more, it would be very short, so it would just be like that. And then we have the pant leg, which will start to travel down. And I did just a small little wrinkle here on her pants, right in this area. So what I would do is I would darken this in, traveling down. There's a little bump where that wrinkle is. Pick up from where I left off and keep going. This outside edge here is pretty much just smooth the whole way because her pants are so tight. And right here I have just the ever so slightest bump to show that somewhere in there was her hand. Let's come down to these wrinkles right here. So on her pants, there's kind of some wrinkles going upwards and downwards. But if you were to draw wrinkles like that, it'll look really strange while you're doing that. So for me, just to have a couple bumps, maybe even a wrinkle going underneath her kneecap is plenty. So I might do something like here's a wrinkle under her kneecap, a couple more wrinkles, and keep going. This side here, just a few wrinkles out in space, and then have this go smooth and tight up against her calf. And let's finish this side. And down in this area, I like everything that I did, except I feel it's a little too rounded. I kind of want to have straight edges and the wrinkles coming in off of those straight edges. So I'm just going to finish these outside edges here so they're a little more straight up and down. And down here there would be some kind of a top stitch to finish the hem of her pants. Make sure you're doing the same curve, curving downwards, just like her pants are doing. So this is curving down, the top stitch is curving down. Let's move back up here to this side of the pants. So the reason I did this side first is because this is overlapping on top of that. So this side was dominant, and then this would be the subdominant side. For getting this waistband coming towards this waistband, I don't want to perfectly match the same top edge. I want to have a little bit of a stair step. So what I'll do is I'll ever so slightly aim just a little below. And this gives you a sense of these pants are a little bit higher, this is overlapping, that's underlapping. Whatever the distance is of my waistband, I want to make sure I'm very consistent when I go and do this side as well. And then you'll notice it's a little stair step from here to here. That was the same there to there. And we come out here, I want to make sure the waistband sticks out further than her skin. So this is where her waist and her hip bone are. This is sticking out just a little beyond that. Now for this side of the pants, we'll get the same pocket. But the pants, you remember now, are slightly turning 3/4 away from us. So it wouldn't be the same distance as this. It would be a slightly smaller distance than this pocket here. So what I would do is I would come in and I would find what is the distance for this pocket, what is the distance over here, and then when I draw this, I would actually go somewhat short of that distance. And then the bottom of the pocket here should be following whatever her hips are doing. So if this is her full hip right here and her full hip down here, we need to have the same distance to the top edge of the pocket. So from here to here, same thing over here. And that's perfect because it puts us right above doing a couple wrinkles here going into the body. So now what we can do is we can take this pocket and turn it into one of the first wrinkles coming across. So I want to extend this out further than her pants. And then I could turn this into a wrinkle going into the body. And then here's another couple wrinkles that'll follow down on her leg. Right at this juncture. And then the pants themselves will continue to now be tight on her upper thigh. Back in here we have this, basically it's the facing piece behind the pocket. Remember, it's going to tuck into the waistband, so there should be a slight stair step right here. So the waistband should stick out slightly further than that. And then you can throw a little cast shadow in there. Now, just like we had a few whiskers on this side, there's the same thing going on this side here. And those whiskers are following the shaping of the cylinder of her leg. So if we even just start at the same locations, we could have one traveling up, another one, and another one. Just keep it really simple. Again, the pant legs will come together in a perfect V. You won't have any kind of a space or a gap there. Let's come down into this knee area. So what I've drawn in here lightly, I like it. I think it looks really good, so I'm going to just keep it. And I'll make a few larger buckles here at the back of her knee. Now, something that's going on when you have this distressed knee that's torn out, the edges of this should be a little bit jagged, and there might even be some pieces kind of hanging down or some pieces connected straight across. So something to that effect. And then make sure you come back and you draw her skin inside of here. Now let's finish down on the ankle here. I like everything about it, except I just want to square up like I did here on these outside edges of some of these wrinkles. The last thing we want to do is let's go ahead and get this inseam. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to draw a continuous line the whole way. What we're going to do is we're going to draw some of the inseam as we go and maybe some top stitching as we go. But you don't want to make one continuous solid dark line. So I drew it in little segments. I can even come back and start to half erase some stuff in between. And then we'll have our top stitching is following along. And then here at the knee area, don't even worry about doing anything and just pick up again where you left off. Now usually for the inseam there will be a double top stitch. So now you're going to want to carefully come in and duplicate each little stitch you just did with a space off to the side. And then down in this area, this is where I was saying where the top stitch would move around as it's going over these bumps. So start by getting one like this, another one here, another one over there, and then the last one here. So you're just showing that it's getting broken up as it goes over these wrinkles. At this point we're basically done. The only thing I would do is maybe here for the overlap, I would just throw a little cross hatching on this waistband, a little bit on the body here, just to show us some shadowing for that overlap. I might do a little shadowing where her waistband goes around the corner. And then down here where her hand is inside the pocket, I might just do a little cross hatch. Just so you know that that was what was going on in this area. Now for a traditional float, this is plenty. You've drawn enough. The sample sewers and pattern makers will know exactly what you want for this pair of pants.